So I'm Britt, and I haven't made a video in a while, but I'm just going to push through it because I've been getting a few messages from people who are interested in doing special master's programs. And so if you're not familiar with it, the special master's program that I did was sort of a link with this med school that it was at. We took classes with the DO students, and yes, the med school that I go to is an osteopathic med school. So we took classes with the DO students, and basically the requirement was that we get and maintain a 3.5 GPA at least, and then pass a comprehensive exam at the end of the school year. We take 4 classes with the DO students, namely anatomy for first semester, anatomy, histology, biochemistry, and physiology. I think it makes sense for me to talk about the way the school is set up. So this, if you hear something funny, it's my cat. He breathes funny, so that's him breathing. So the way that the school is set up, like you have all your lectures, all your lecture notes are given to you via Blackboard. So they give it to you on Blackboard and you print it out, do whatever you want with it. Some people don't print it out, they like to save trees. I'm not one of those people, I kill trees. And you can follow along with video lectures. Okay, so a video lecture is like exactly what you would think it would be. They give you the objectives in the beginning of the video, and then the lecturer will come on and you'll see the PowerPoint slides that they gave you on Blackboard will correspond with the video. Sometimes the lecturer is in the video, sometimes they're not. And it's basically the lecture slides, and you hear the voice, or you see the person standing in the video talking to you about the stuff that they're lecturing about. And basically that's it. For every single class, you have video lectures. And you have your syllabus, and you just go along with the syllabus for what you need to cover for each week. And the way they test you or quiz you on what you have to cover, or you have to have covered by a certain day in the syllabus, is that they give you clicker sessions. So I'm going to show you my clicker. So this is an eye clicker. Everyone in the class gets this when they get to school and during orientation. So I'll just give you an example. I'll show you my planner. And then I'll write what video lecture we have to have watched. So you see 4A there. It looks backwards to me. I hope you guys can see this forwards. It says 4A for Tuesday. That was sometime in March. And we basically have to have that video lecture watched for that day because we're going to have clicker questions based on that video lecture. And basically just click A, B, C, or D for what you think the answer is. So it's called clickers. And basically that's what it is. It's a bunch of quiz questions. And that's what being in class is like. What a week will be like is Monday is exam day, and then Tuesday will be anatomy day. So you'll have 1 hour of anatomy clickers, and then 2 hours, sorry, of anatomy lab, which is basically you go into the anatomy lab, be prepared for anatomy lab, know what you're going to be dissecting, and then you go in and basically you just dissect a cadaver. You're doing this with the DO students, so you're broken up into groups. Lab groups. Each group has maybe 6 or 7 people to a body, and they're mixed up with DO and master students. And it's really great because there'll be previous master students who are DO students currently in your lab group, and they like really remember things and they teach you a lot. So on Wednesday you'll have clickers for basically the rest of the classes. You'll have what are the other classes? Like histology, histology clickers, and they're exactly what you think they would be. Histology clickers, physio clickers, and biochem clickers. And then Thursday will be a lab day, so you'll have an extra class, something like law and ethics, I think, yeah, that morning, and then you'll have histology lab. And that, again, histology lab is with the DO students. So the only classes that you're sitting with the DO students would be your anatomy classes and anatomy lab and histology lab. But the other clickers like biochemistry, physiology, and histology clickers are just master students. Those are separate. And then Friday is just another anatomy day. So how did I handle each class? Well, for anatomy, we had the video lectures. Some people don't like the video lectures for our anatomy, and so they swear by this book called, what is the book called? Moore's, and I'll show you the book. Okay, so I just checked, and I actually don't have a download of Moore's Clinically Oriented Anatomy, which is the textbook that people like to read, because I personally didn't use the textbook, but some people found it helpful, especially for the clicker questions. Our teacher gets a lot of her clicker questions from the blue boxes in Moore's, so the blue boxes have like really good clinical scenarios, and they're very clinically relevant. So this is basically Google images of what the book looks like. It's Moore's Clinically Oriented Anatomy, and I'm pretty sure that's a textbook that most people use, like most schools use, most medical schools use. Anyway, the textbook that I also recommend for anatomy, I feel like everybody has to have this. This is what I used. My dad's actually, so it's only the 2nd edition, but I think like now there's like a 6th edition out, so this is old. It's probably from like the 90s. But this is Netter's Atlas of Human Anatomy. If you're going to take anatomy, you're going to need a Netter's. This is like the Bible. You need a Netter's Atlas of Human Anatomy. And basically it's just a bunch of drawings, a bunch of pictures, but they're really, really beautiful and really good. And I'm a very visual learner, so this helped me totally ace anatomy. I knew my anatomy like that. It helps me to just, have pictures to look at. My classmates mostly like to do practice questions, and they say BRS practice questions, BRS anatomy, as well as there was some other book, Lippincott? I don't remember. There's some other question book that people swear by in my class, and I think that our teacher tends to pull questions from that, so they use those question books. I am like a weird student in that, like, unlike my classmates, I don't really do practice questions. I just spend a million years trying to learn absolutely everything in the PowerPoint slides, everything that they want us to. So that's why I don't really do practice questions, because I feel like if they're going to ask anything anyway, I might as well know everything. And yes, you can do, I guess, a few practice questions before, like maybe the day before the exam, just to test, like, do I know quite a few things? Am I able to think in a critical way, that way I can answer certain questions? Then yeah, that's fine. But I don't do practice questions to try to learn the information. For me, learning the information means staring at pictures, drawing the pictures. I mean, it's so all blood supply. It's just, oh, so fun. I love anatomy. It's my favorite. Okay, so the next class that I'll talk about is, I guess, histology. So that was Tuesday. You had anatomy. You had anatomy lab on Tuesday. Now Wednesday you have 1 hour of histology clickers, and each clicker session is 1 hour, by the way. So you have an hour of histology clickers. For histology in our school, I feel like it's one of the classes that you kind of have to read for. For histology, I wanted the book right in front of me, especially because we started using a new edition. So we started using the 14th edition. So I got this is the textbook. It's June Carius Basic Histology Text and Atlas on the 14th edition. And it's a really good book. It's a good read. And I hate reading. I'm not a reader. If I can get away with not reading for a class, then I won't. So histology is one of the classes that you really can't really get away from, and plus it's not a bad book. The pictures are gorgeous, and histology is basically the study of like tissues. It's a cool class. If you've never taken it before, don't worry yourself too much. My specific school offers summer anatomy classes, and they offer summer histology classes the summer right before you start the master's program or the DO program. So if you don't know how much the histology class costs, I didn't take the summer histology class. I took the summer anatomy class, and I found that very helpful. Tip I would give: if you do take the summer anatomy class the summer before you start the master's program, then it's overwhelming. You can get very stressed out very easily because it's so much information coming at you at once. So if you're going to take the summer anatomy class, you might as well just focus on the information that they're going to be testing for the first exam. When I would go home, I would study for the first anatomy exam that I knew I was going to have during the master's year, and I aced it. So I think if you spend the whole summer studying for it, you better ace it, right? And that kind of took off a lot of pressure, because anatomy is the class that is worth the most credits. So you want to do well in the classes that are worth the most credits. And that's what I did, and I think that's how it helped me to be successful. Histology is the class that's worth the second most credits, because it also has a lab session on a Thursday. So you have a clicker session on Wednesday and then a lab session on Thursday. And the lab session is based mostly off of the pictures. So you should be able to look at this and know what it is. And that looks like a liver down there. Is it a liver? Is it a liver? Yeah, it's a liver. So yeah, you should be able to look at the picture. Eventually you'll get to a place where you can look at the pictures and know what's what. So the next class that I'll talk about is biochemistry. Biochemistry in our school is the class where the lectures I feel like it's like the best department. Lecturers are just great, you'll see. So for that class, the lecture notes are really enough. The PowerPoint slides that they give you, and then the lecture, whatever they cover in the lecture, whatever they talk about, that's enough. Like, I watch the video lectures. Usually how I do it is I watch, for each class, I watch the video lectures, I take really good detailed notes. And then I like to watch videos. I feel like that helps me. So like when I'm studying for the exam, like the week before the exam, I'll take my notes that I've already taken after I've prepped for the clicker session weeks ago. I'll just watch the videos again really fast, go through my notes over and over and over again, like 4 times until I figured that I know it. So for biochemistry, just covering the lecture is great. It's good enough. I'm sure there's a textbook for it, but I don't really know what it is because I never used it. So the next class that we would have clicker session for is physiology. Physiology, 5th edition. Linda Costanzo. And it's a really great read. It's short, condensed. So it's not super long, like there's not a lot of fluff in it, which means that everything you have to read, you have to know. So for this class, I would recommend that you really read and then watch the videos. So our lecturer he's pretty well known. Dr. Conrad Fisher is our lecturer for physiology. And I think that he really expects you to read the book, then watch his videos. And then he likes to tell you to do it 3 times. So you gotta read and then watch the videos. That'll help you for physiology. So, yes. That being said, that's basically what you should expect. You should expect a lot of clicker sessions, and then you should expect your exams. So this will just be an example. This is the Monday. We had Labor Day, so we had no exam that day. And then we had anatomy clickers, and then we had biochem, physio, histo clickers. And so the master students will just end up having those 3-hour clicker session on Wednesday, 1 hour on Tuesday, plus the 2 hours of lab on Tuesday, and then Thursday they'll have 2 hours of histo lab, which didn't usually last 2 hours. And then on Friday they'll have anatomy again, 1 hour clickers and then 2 hours of lab. And then the following week they had an exam on a Monday, so that would be a physio exam. So basically you want to have had watched all the videos leading up to each clicker session. You want to have covered that material, so that way the week leading up to this exam, you're also studying for that exam. So it can get hard, but I feel like it's so doable in the master's program because you don't have as many exams as you would in the DO program. You don't have as many classes. So you want to have covered, especially for that class with the exam coming up, you want to have covered all the material for that exam. And then I say by Friday you want to have reviewed it all. So you want one watch through at least, one read through, like maybe before that Friday before the exam, and then by that Friday before the exam you want to go over all the information again, and then by that Saturday you want to go over it all again, all the PowerPoint slides, all the lectures that are going to be on that exam. And I say that because I feel like how you do well in the master's program is through repetition. You want to get familiar with the information. I think going over it over and over and over again is the key to success, and turning the material into something that you can really recognize, something that you can remember, is the way that you can be successful. So by Friday I would say you want to have gone over the material 2nd or 3rd time by Friday, and then the other half you want to cover by Saturday. And by Sunday you should be able to go through the material super fast, because it's so familiar, you've gone through it so many times, it's just like you're flipping through. And if you're going through the material for the 2nd time, you want to write down the things that you're having trouble memorizing, you're having trouble remembering, so that way, those things will stick out for you. So you want to have like a running list of, like, call it your cheat sheet. You want to have your little cheat sheet of things that you just tend to forget, you can't remember, or you look at it and you're like, wow, that's not familiar at all. You want to have a list of things, cheat sheet before the exam, and then, put it away, and then you'll have it in your mind. Oh yeah, I remember, I can close my eyes and see on that paper, there was that thing. I tend to forget this, and I don't know, I can't think of anything to give you an example of, but I tend to forget this, so now I'm not going to forget it because this is the thing I always forget. I always get it wrong, or I always forget that it exists. Now I'm going to remember because I had it on that special cheat sheet. And for me, that's basically it. That's how it worked for me. Repetition. I don't know what else to tell you guys. So do whatever you feel is best for you. Biochemistry, you do have practice quizzes. Every other class, you might need to do other things. Like, I think there's BRS, practice questions, BRS book, or I forget what BRS stands for, but if you just Google it, BRS Physiology, people tend to do practice questions from there. Lippincotts, I think, has anatomy. It has physiology, I believe. And people do practice questions from there, and they say that helps them. So I guess that's about it. I hope that was helpful. I don't know if I hit on everything that I should have. Leave a comment down below, like, comment, subscribe, whatever people say you do. Okay. Thank you, and join me again whenever I post a video. Sorry it takes me so long, but second semester is really crazy. I'm on spring break right now, so I hope that helped. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.